Hi, I'm Karen. I'm Head of Koalas here at Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary. The koalas that are behind me here in this space, these are all young females. They're only just over 12 months old, so they haven't been weaned from their mums very long. They are independent, however, so they're no longer what you would consider a joey, which is a baby koala, because they are fully independent of their mothers now. But you will notice if you compare them to some of the other koalas that you might see, that they're nowhere near as large because they still do have an awful lot of growing to do. You'll also notice that they might have periods of activity at times that the adults don't, because being young koalas, they do like to play together at times. They'll even come down on the floor on occasion and play together like puppies and kittens might do. So you might see a lot more activity coming from these little guys than you would from some of the adults. Some of the things you might see amongst these koalas as you're watching them is a lot of jumping, because koalas don't just move around on the branches just climbing up here and walking along there. They will actually jump from branch to branch, and they're actually quite agile, so you might be a bit surprised to see just how adept they are at moving around in the trees. You'll also see when they're sleeping that there will be some that do like to cuddle up together. You often see a little group all grouped together and having little cuddles, whereas you might see another one that would prefer to sleep by herself. So some of that manifests their personalities, gives you an idea of what they're like. We do have all different personalities, of course, in koalas. They're all very, very different. So in here you might notice there's a young lady called Elsa who's actually quite shy. She doesn't enjoy a cuddle with some of the others, but you'll notice that she's a little bit quieter and a little bit more in the background than some of the others. Whereas there's another koala, Akane, who's quite bossy and boisterous, so she will often be front and centre. And then there's Tabby, who's actually very sweet, very endearing, and will seek out a lot of attention from keepers if they come in. So you will notice that some of them, but particularly Tabby, she will like to get a lot of attention from us anytime we're in here doing our thing. We've got two cameras pointed onto this exhibit. One of them is a static view, one of them is digitally tracking, and it is following movement. And a lot of people will say, okay, well, movement, koalas, not going to happen. But as you spend more time watching them, you will see there is indeed a lot of movement. The most active time for them is feed time. So at the moment, you'll see there's no leaf, or not a lot of leaf up in here, because we've taken down all the old leaf and we're waiting for the new leaf to arrive. This is obviously something that the koalas anticipate with great excitement. So you'll see a lot of moving around and jumping and running around just as they're ready for the leaf to arrive. And then when it comes in, you'll see them really lining up, wanting to be the first one to get the leaf as it comes in, and then they'll sit down and have a nice little munch. So feed time is definitely the best time to actually tune in and look out for lots of activity in the koalas. These young ladies are learning how to be handled so that they can be held by people that they don't know. They were born here, so they're very used to being around people, and they know us very well, the keepers that spend a lot of time with them. But we do a little bit of training with them so that they become accustomed to being held by visitors, and that's what these koalas are at the stage of learning. So you'll see during the day keepers coming and going, picking up some of the koalas, and then they'll disappear for a little while and then come back, and you'll see us interacting with them quite a lot. You'll also notice during the day, particularly first thing in the morning, that keepers will come in and look at all of the koalas, because we check every single koala that we have here every day, just to make sure that they haven't become unwell or they haven't injured themselves during the night. So we're very strict about maintaining the health of the koalas. You'll also see us cleaning in here. Obviously, that's part of everyday husbandry. We'll come in and we'll clean the exhibits every day, but we also scrub all of these. So these branches that they climb on, because they're not a natural tree, we actually scrub them with a veterinary safe disinfectant, so it's safe for the koalas to be around, and it makes sure that this stays nice and clean and hygienic. You'll notice as well, sometimes before we enter the enclosure, we do it every time we enter the enclosure, is that the keepers will have a spray bottle with them, which they use to spray their hands, their feet, and sometimes the cleaning equipment. You'll see them spraying that as well. And that's because it is also that same veterinary grade disinfectant, and we just want to make sure that we're not accidentally bringing anything into the koalas that might affect their health. So we're very strict on our hygiene levels for the koalas.